2023 to order. The time is 7 p.m. If I could do a roll call. Maisie, you can say who you are.
Maslin Stevenson, student representative.
Keith Bennett, board member.
Joe Margaitis, board secretary.
Heather Pettit, board chair.
Tom Beard, superintendent.
Don Briere, Director of Educational Services.
Caitlin Schiller, business manager.
Thank you. We have a Director of Information Technology over there, Dave McKinney, and our two principals. And Sarah is here, I believe, as well. Sarah Capolino, board member. Dave is going to tell
I
me.
am asking if she can hear us right now.
Okay. Will I be able to hear her?
You should be.
Okay. One moment. Sorry, Mazzy.
She can hear us, so I just can't hear her at the moment. And Nikki's just joining right now.
Okay, so you work on us being able to hear them. Sorry. While you're doing that, we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone wants to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We also have our principals, Katie Ariano, Michael Larkin, with us, and our wonderful retirees. How are we doing? No pressure. Well, Mazzy, do you want to give your student report?
Sure. Okay. So there's nothing going on for pre-K, nothing for kindergarten, nothing for first, nothing for second, and nothing for third.
Wow.
Okay, fourth grade. Fourth grade had a wonderful field day that was on Tuesday. It was great to see so many fourth grade parents volunteering to make a day a great one. Fifth graders recently saw their social studies learning coming alive with a visit to Old Sturbridge Village. They're currently showcasing the math skills they've learned this year by creating a cardboard math arcade. It's based off of a video called Kane's Arcade, and mine is a claw ATM machine.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, my partner is very creative. I'm not, so, you know.
The claw ATM, like it's going to pick up toys, right? Or something?
Yeah, it's like picking up money.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
see.
it's
Even better. Whose credit cards are you putting in there?
Well, we made up our own currency.
Oh, okay, all right. You could like get adults' credit cards and throw them in there.
Sixth grade. We are filled with pride for our graduating sixth graders who have left a lasting impression here at HES. Best of luck to these amazing world changers. And they also had their field day on Tuesday with the fourth graders. Nothing for Unified Arts. Cares and Choose Love. The final Cares group of the year was on June 1st. Students and leaders engaged in activities focused on self-control, C&E and band and chorus. The sixth grade FPS team is at UMass representing Hebron and Connecticut at internationals.
Wow.
The grade 6 band earned a platinum ranking at the Fantastic Festival on May 19th, the highest ranking. They scored a 94 and 95 out of 100 from the judges. The HES marching band was asked to be the first band in the Memorial Day parade this year. This was a position of honor. And I didn't notice this in here, but there was also living history, which is where we all, we studied like a history person, and that actually happened on Tuesday for the fifth graders. It will be Monday for sixth grade and fourth grade.
Who'd you choose?
I was Princess Diana.
Oh, nice.
We also had a set tournament, which was, I think, sixth grade also did that, where set is like a card game. Mr. Parks hosted that during recess. That was also very fun. And other. Be on the lookout for summer activities and challenges from the math and reading departments. These fun and engaging activities are designed to keep the learning alive all summer long. Mr. Larkin will be sharing the links and information in the Family Notes home this week. And that's it. Thank you for a year of reports. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mazzy, for your reports is really what we should be saying. And we appreciate you coming, and you're always you're dependable, you're always here on time, and I appreciate that. And I feel like you could one day be on the news because, you know, your inflection is excellent. You get everyone's attention, just throwing that out there.
I mean,
But we appreciate having
I'm sure
you.
you'll be seeing another student next year, I think, because I believe I get to pass the torch down,
Oh.
mentor a bit, so, you know.
Well, we thank you for everything. You know, we enjoyed having you very much. I hope you have a good summer.
Thank all of you for letting me. I know, I think I'm the first, right? So, thank you.
Yes, you are, and you did a fine job. So, be big shoes to fill if somebody else does come up here. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And your,
You set the bar quite high.
yes.
So it's good.
And your
I
family
appreciate
for
it.
always bringing you here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice summer.
Thank you. You too, man. I know next is retirees, but I would like, how are we doing?
We're gonna find out in a second.
All right.
Nope, we still don't have it. Sorry. They're,
That's okay. They're still on there, though, yes?
they are on there, they can hear us, and if need be, I'll hook the phone up.
Okay, I just want to make sure we have quorum since we need at least one of them on there, so, all right. All right, and I could always put them on, like, they could always call me as well.
One of us can
So
call.
you can chat them and let them know if they want to call one of our phones.
Probably should be
They can't both call my phone,
Yeah,
but
one could call mine.
one could call Tom's and one could call mine. I think
Well,
they
can
have.
hear you, so, yeah.
Oh, okay, so it doesn't matter to me, who calls who, but,
Do we want to wait until there's discussion, or do we want to do it now?
I would probably have them on now, just in case they want to say something.
All right, I'll call Sarah.
all right, Nikki, I'll call you. I think Sarah will, might have to step away for a moment.
Yeah.
If she's away then. Excuse me, sorry. Hello? Hi, can you hear me? All right, so we're just gonna put you on speaker in front of me. Okay. All right, I have Nikki here. Okay, I think you're good, Nikki. I have you near my other speaker, my microphone.
All right, I sent Sarah a message, just call my cell when she's ready for
Yes,
audio.
okay. All right, great. So next is our retirement recognition. Sorry about our technical difficulties. So,
So we're gonna ask Mr.
Dr. Briere?
Larkin and Dr. Briere to come up and recognize our retirees.
You gotta come with me. Laura and Griff, come with me. I'm gonna stand. Okay, good evening. So our sixth grade team is gonna look very different next year without these two colleagues right here. I'm gonna start with Laura. Laura's been teaching for 27 years. 17 of those 27 years have been here in Hebron, in grades 5 and 6. Laura's first year of teaching was a class of 38 third graders
Wow.
at St. Catherine of Siena School in St. Albans, New York. During Laura's time in Hebron, she represented the district as a teacher ambassador to China and was able to teach elementary students in Beijing. Laura's also been a Zumba teacher and choreographed the 6th grade musical this year. Laura's looking forward in her retirement to more time with family, including her new granddaughter Eliza, and traveling on her new permanent summer vacation. Congratulations, Laura. And Mr. Jones, Griff came to teaching as a second career after a successful first career as a manufacturing engineer, machine tool designer, machinist, quality control inspector, and manufacturing operations manager. Griff is a Navy veteran and had a front row seat to history during his time in the Navy. Griff will be busy in his retirement with lots of hobbies, volunteering for his local youth services organization, and a possible seat on his town's Board of Education. I'm going to conclude with a quote from Griff. "Of all the things I have done or accomplished in my life, teaching has been the most rewarding. I loved every moment teaching young people and sharing my life experiences." Congratulations, Griff.
All right, we'll have Dr. Briere come up, and then we'll present the apples to all four at the same time.
You're also welcome to say anything you would like. I mean, I always want to give the opportunity, but you don't have to.
No, you right there with the mic. Oh, you use the mic.
Oh, if you want to sing, you can.
I usually have a lot to say, but no, I just want to thank the Hebron community for accepting me. As Mr. Larkin mentioned, I started teaching at 50 years old, second career, and I've loved every moment. And they've embraced me from day one, and I feel very fortunate. And I'll miss this community. I live in Montville, and I'll definitely miss my colleagues because, you know, as you guys know, we have a great staff in both schools, and I've worked with and for amazing people. So that's all I got to say. But thank you, and thank you to the board for supporting the schools in town.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to just thank the board as well. It's been a dream job for me. I said this to Michael too. I've had a great career. Started in parochial schools with 38 kids, right out of college, and then was home with my own children, and then I was lucky enough to come back to teaching. And parenting made me a better teacher, for sure. But it's just been great. It's very bittersweet, but it's been a wonderful ride, and thank you for the support of the board and the community, and absolutely our staff and our colleagues. That's the hardest part to leave, and as well as the children. They're so sweet, you know, and it's always nice to hear from the older ones, getting emails and seeing them when we get to go to RAM. That's really a sweet thing. So thank you very much it's been an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tough act to follow, Mr. Larkin. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. We all coordinated tonight, too, with all the blues.
I saw that. It's a picture.
I didn't coordinate on purpose, but. So first we have Karen Coxon to my immediate right. Karen did not come to education first. She actually was an attorney before she came into education. So she's leaving Hebron after 13 years, and Hebron has been her only home as educator for those full 13 years. When asked what her proudest moments were, it's when Karen helps transition all of our 6th grade students up to RAM. It's a big effort. So her proudest moments are transitioning our students each year up to RAM. It's fun to be part of the excitement that comes with this task, and especially at a daunting time in our students' lives. So working with families and students through that transition is especially exciting. She helps ease the concerns of these students and families and make sure they transition well to 7th grade. She will certainly miss her 6th grade team, of which she'll be retiring alongside. And of course her special education colleagues at Hebron Elementary School. It'll be hard to leave her friends behind, but she has many memories still to make moving forward. She looks forward to traveling with her husband and with her twins, Charlie and Olivia, at times when they are not in school or working. We wish Karen all the best in her future endeavors. Pam Fromm has been with us for many years. So Pam graduated, these are Pam's words, some of these. So Pam graduated from UConn in 1981 with a BS in physical therapy, and she's been a physical therapist for over 42 years, 40 of them in pediatrics. She's worked over her years in many public schools, but she's called Hebron home for 28 to 30 of those years. We've been fortunate for that. She'll miss so many things in working with the students, but particularly the funny things that come out of their mouths every day. Pam said most recently, a second grader told her that he was going to miss her when she is rehired. Immediate referral to Mrs. Luddy was in order for that. She loves when students just get it, and she can see the celebration on their faces. That really brings her joy. She'll miss the support that the school district has provided to her over the years, particularly in her most challenging times. The staff has always been supportive, flexible, and kind. In retirement, she looks forward to having time to work on more of her hobbies: gardening, traveling, refinishing furniture, needlework, etc. Many of these have been put on hold most recently. She also enjoys spending time with her family and dog. Congratulations, Pam.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to share any words?
You don't have to. You're welcome to. It could be a duo.
I'm not a public.
Oh, you don't have to.
Say a lot. So I just want to say thank you so much. I've loved this job. It's been so nice to work in Hebron. I've loved working with the kids, and it's been a really excellent experience, so thank you.
I obviously love working here too. My kids have all gone through this school district. I'm so happy that I was able to be part of it, and I want to thank you all for inviting me, as I am not a Board of Ed member, but I have really enjoyed all my time in all the schools. I used to do Ream and Marlboro and Andover, and when it was all one district, and then it was not one district, so it's been a great place to work. Thank you so much.
Break one up.
What?
Oh, you have two. Oh, Tom took one.
All right, come on up. That's your apples, Rio.
Look, wait, he took yours.
That's all right.
Wait, and Aaron. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you.
We're going to do a picture with Dave, Michael, and Ron.
Of course they do. That's okay. I got a couple photos in here. Yes. Do you need 12 people in back? Yeah. All right. This is amazing. You guys are naturals. All right. That should do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody want their box for their
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
transport?
Yeah, it's a good idea. Good idea. Good idea.
I just want to say thank you very much for everything that you've done for our students in our district. You are our schools, so thank you for everything. And I hope you enjoy your retirement, but we appreciate all of your service to our kids, most of all, but to our district, so thank you all. All right. Oh, public comments. Public comments. The Hebron Board of Ed. Oh,
Yeah,
Next is presentation.
Oh, presentation of the 2023-2024 budget updates. Lisa Pelican going next. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so here we are again. I feel like this is probably the fourth time we've presented the budget, so I'm getting really good at it. I'm not going to go through the presentation in as much detail as we did last time. I'm going to really just focus on the updates since the last time we had this presentation. In terms of considerations, we spent quite a bit of time on this last time. I'm just going to really focus on the stakeholder feedback. So since we put out the original proposed reductions, we've gotten quite a bit of feedback from families and staff, with most of that feedback being focused on desires to restore the grade 4 position. That was the most amount of feedback was focused on that. And the second most amount of feedback we had was about restoring the STEAM position at Hebron Elementary School. So I wanted to highlight that in terms of considerations in these revised set of reductions. So since we last met, we've updated just what we consider budget updates, things that we can do that do not have a huge impact on operations and instruction. The couple of things here to note is that because of the overwhelming feedback around grade 4, we have included grade 4 and taken that off of the reduction proposal. So that's reflected within this new figure. So that you won't see grade 4 on the next slide where it was before. We've also, in addition to the 3 teacher retirements, and we just honored them this evening, we also have some updated staffing projections that have been factored in. That include just we had 1 resignation, so we have a lower projected replacement cost for that. We re-ran our pension projections, and just with some different leaves that we're aware of and long-term subs that would then come in to cover for those individuals, we were able to include some additional staffing projection savings. We also have hiring ongoing for some opening positions, and while we've not extended offers to finalists, we have a better idea of where finalists are coming in on the salary schedule. So we're able to have those updates. The other update here is we have included the combination of the STEAM and the Spanish position at Gilead Hill, rather than having it on the proposed reductions on the next slide. We've included it within this budget update because as we've continued to move forward with the hiring for that position, we feel very confident in our plan to combine those 2 programs together. We think it's going to lead to a better overall schedule for the building. It's going to expand Spanish instruction to kindergarten, all at a savings of around $30,000. So the overall reduction that we need to achieve is about $1.2 million. So again, item number 1, budget updates. We have about an additional $150,000 or so in savings that we've identified in that area. Item 2 remains unchanged. That was the additional preschool classroom and the assistant principals that were required as part of that shift. Item number 3 is the preschool tuition increase. Just to spend a little bit more time on that. So what this represents is the additional revenue we would receive for the families that are full pay families. So for families that are in our school readiness program on the sliding fee scale based on economic need, those families would not see any increase in tuition. That is locked in with the grant. So this would be an increase just for families that have full pay tuition. You did not increase tuition last year. We increased tuition 2 years ago. So if you were to increase tuition, I expenses go up every year, so this would recoup some of those expenses from last year and this year. At that point, you could not increase tuition any further. At this point, you would be fully paying for all of your preschool expenses beyond this required special education program. So for any, we have gotten some feedback from people that they would like to see preschool be a fully funded program. By increasing the tuition by $500 per family, you would achieve that. We couldn't increase it any more than that. So that's something for the board to consider. The item number 4 is utilizing funding from the non-lapsing account, so planning to dip into that account to pay for some special education tuitions for next year to the tune of $122,000. That would leave a projected balance of $105,000 to $138,000 in your non-lapsing account. The reason for the range, again, is because you currently have a $33,000 request of deposit that has been sitting with the Board of Finance since last summer that they've not taken action on. So we just don't know. I would really think of it as you have $105,000 until that deposit happens or not. Item number 5 was adding an additional bus. This would be one additional bus running than we currently run. So by reducing this, you would be running busing as is. Item number 6 is reducing the building substitutes. So from 2 permanent building substitutes at each building, reducing that to 1. We found it difficult to hire a second building substitute throughout much of this year. So essentially that would be a status quo stance by following through with that reduction. Reducing supplies, these are supplies that are needed, but we'll have to wait. If we originally proposed this as order to balance out the budget reduction that was required, we would look to grants or other ways to move forward with some of these supply purchases at a later date. Item number 8 is reducing academic tutoring. Hebron now would be pretty much exhausted of their grant funds for tutoring at the end of this year, but Gilead Hill would have enough funding for next year to get them through about half of the school year. So that $81,000 results in the reduction of the tutoring, mostly at Hebron in the second half of the year at Gilead. Again, there may be some funds that we identify later on next year that could continue the Gilead Hill tutor, but we have to wait and see where we are. Item number 9 is a tough one. The reducing speech services, so we had a one-time grant to add an additional half-time position for this year. It is still a high priority for us. We would like to be able to continue that in some fashion. We just currently don't have the funding to be able to support it with this level of reduction. We would look to our IDEA grant to potentially bring back some additional speech services for next year. What speech would look like is likely would be that the full-time speech provider here, who's here, would be focused on students here because we know the caseload is higher here. And our speech language pathologist over at Hebron Elementary School would likely spend some time here as they look to really manage the caseload across the district. So if there were funds you had left and you were looking for a place to devote them, I would recommend looking at bringing in some additional speech support beyond our 2 full-time speech language pathologists. The reading intervention teacher, this is a half-time position over at Hebron Elementary School. While our scores are not public yet, I will say that we are seeing an increase in our reading performance. And so we may not want to bring in a half-time reading interventionist for next year, but we may want to look at funding for some additional math support. So it sort of connects to that item number 8 around the academic tutoring. So this is, again, a place where we may look at grant funds, or if we had some money that we identified as we're getting closer to September, we might look to provide some additional intervention support at Hebron. But again, if you were looking for a place to spend money, for right now, I would focus on the speech position. And item number 10 is where we got the other piece of feedback, our STEAM position. So we've talked about this before, but if you eliminate the HES STEAM class, the dedicated STEAM class at Hebron, then we would move science instruction from that class to the general classroom, and we would focus STEAM within our challenge and enrichment and library media program. So you see there that if you, as presented, you don't have enough money to do it quite yet. So if you eliminate that class, you still have $19,000 to put somewhere. So whether that's the speech position or supplies, or if you were not going to increase preschool tuition, you would really need that money to offset that preschool tuition revenue. So that's if you eliminate the AGS STEAM class, you would have that $19,000 to put somewhere. Or if you reduce special education outplacement tuition by $67,351, meaning go to your non-lapsing account to pay that special ed tuition, then you would be able to keep the STEAM class. You would have about $30,000 to $35,000 left in your non-lapsing account. Just for people who have not been with us for as long as our board members have, the non-lapsing account is a fairly new phenomenon. We did not have it 3 or 4 years ago. It was not here when I began. It was something that we requested as a place to help us with unanticipated special education costs or emergency building repairs. So the district operated for a very long time without a non-lapsing account. But now that we have the account, it's very nice this year to help us move forward next year without as many reductions. So whether or not you want to deplete all of the account is something for the board to discuss. I had this slide last time, and just as a reminder of what the Unified Arts and STEAM teams look like at each school. This remains unchanged because you need to make a decision about the STEAM class, right? Unless you choose to spend more out of the non-lapsing account, you don't have enough funding for the STEAM position. But so just a reminder of what this looks like across the two schools. We did up the number of sections that Gilead Hill serves because there is a plan to add the Unified Arts back into the preschool rotation. That will also result in a very small increase to the number of instructional minutes for preschool in the day. So we're looking at maybe like a 5-minute add-on to the preschool hours for families. So not a huge change, but I think families would welcome that. But you can see you only have 5 teachers providing Unified Arts here at Gilead Hill, so there's no reduction that can really be had here. It really is only Hebron where you could look at the Unified Arts team in terms of reductions, and that's what we proposed, the STEAM class reduction. If you wanted to look at alternative, or if the budget doesn't pass next week and we have to look at additional reductions, these are the non-mandated programs that we have in place and the student supports that we could potentially look at. We removed speech from the student support list because you can't reduce from the 2.0 that you have. The only thing you could reduce is that part-time. But that's the only update on this slide.
Excuse me for 1 second. Nikki, are you there? Hello? Yeah. Okay, I'm just making sure you're there. Okay, sorry. I apologize.
And then finally, just a reminder of where we are in terms of proposed sections and class size. This is definitely a high priority to you, and I know it's a high priority to families and staff. This was the original proposed enrollment when we first generated the budget. There we go. This is the enrollment with this updated proposal. So you can see the 4th grade section has been added back from last time. So you can see the class sizes ranging from 17 at Gilead Hill, then moving up to 18 in grade 3 and 4, and then in the low 20s in grade 5 and 6. And then, I included this slide last time.
So shouldn't like grade 4 be down? Am I reading it wrong?
No, so
we're saying we are proposed sections, grade 4, 17.8 average class size, but then we're putting an extra Potentially.
So if you
For
look,
teacher back in.
so if you were, when we originally did the budget, we had 89 students for 5 sections.
Yeah.
And then when we, right now,
We
with
have more
updated
students?
enrollment, yeah, we have more students. So,
Okay.
so right now, we're at 91 students across 5 sections, so it'd be 18.2.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you.
And you can see preschool has been updated because we're not being able to service the additional classroom. And then if we were forced to look at other reductions, should the budget not pass, this is what class sizes would look like if we reduced by an additional teacher per section. And grade 4 would still be within your class size limits with a reduction. So that probably would be where you would look first. But again, let's go back one. This is what is currently proposed with the updated reductions. Similar to what we have now.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. I'm happy to take any questions now, or after public comment, there's time for discussion, and that might be a better time for questions, but up to you.
Does anyone have any questions? Nikki, do you have any questions? No. Okay. Anyone else at this time? Let's do public comment first, and
Yeah.
we'll come back.
Dave, I'm just gonna go back to this slide, because I think
Yeah.
this is probably helpful
Yes.
for a discussion later.
Thank you. All right, public comment. The Hebron Board of Education values the public comment period as it represents an opportunity for members of the public to express their views to the board on matters within the board's authority. Procedurally, public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and citizens will be asked to identify themselves. All comments must be directed to the board and not to any individual board member or any individual member of the administration. The board and the administration will not respond to questions or engage in dialogue during the public comment period. The board and administration will determine when and how to address questions that arise during the public comment period. Do we have any public comment? All right, moving on, so discussion regarding next year's budget. So, you know, as we've said, like, more than once, the board can't vote on any possible changes to the 23-24 school year budget, education budget, until a referendum is passed and a final number is decided upon by our town citizens. So that being said, I know we have had a lot of questions in regard to kind of what we were thinking. You know, it's hard to say, but, you know, we can't really say that before a referendum, but we can, you know, discuss in generalization of kind of some of these proposals. I don't know if anyone has anything that they'd like to say in regard to them. I mean, I can begin. I'll say for myself, I appreciate putting the 4th grade teacher back in. We heard from many community members about the 4th grade teacher. I don't want to put 5 classes of 3rd grade, if we can all help it, into 4 sections of 4th grade. So I do like the recommendation to put the 4th grade teacher back in. Anyone else?
I would also echo what Heather, what you're saying. I mean, I think that that's, you know, a priority. I mean, again, there's nothing we can really discuss at this time, but I think Dr. Baird's in front of us is very, makes a lot of sense. I think we're trying to do what we can. You know, obviously we'd have to wait for this to pass. If it passes, then I think we need further discussion to figure out, you know, how do we best utilize what we have left, or best utilize what we have at that time.
Right. I agree. Keith, you have anything?
Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, I think Dr. Baird, the administration have done a good job, you know, hearing from the community at large and taking into consideration their concerns and our concerns. And, you know, his proposal is reflective of addressing those for the benefit of our children as much as possible. I agree, a lot of people came out and this community really focuses on low class size. You know, that's what they want in their schools, and adding the 4th grade back in and keeping our proposal focused on that, and then, you know, making sure that we have these special things like STEAM. I think it's a good proposal. Hopefully, you know, we end up with a budget that allows us to proceed with that.
Nikki, I don't want to forget you.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset with the 4th grade class, hoping that we can hang on to that rather than increasing those class sizes. So I think we're all pretty much on the same page with all of that.
All right, great, thank you. Did Sarah ever? Okay, I just didn't want to skip over her if she was on. So I think, you know, I think our non-lapsing account, you know, like Dr. Baird said, we didn't have it several years ago. I'm thankful to the Board of Finance for instituting that a couple of years ago now. I think it's about 2 years. It's up to the board how to utilize those funds. I mean, obviously it has to be used for education. You know, it's not ideal that we'd have to use some of that to, you know, do the right thing for kids. But then again, that's what it's there for. Just with the knowledge that, you know, if we do end up doing, you know, the 4th grade teacher's already back in, if we do the HES STEAM class, you know, we might have to utilize some of those funds, depending on what we decide with preschool. So I don't know, it's hard to say. I don't know where everyone stands about preschool. We could put it on the agenda for next week when we see what happens, and then have a discussion then in regard to like raising tuition potentially or not. But we probably would want to decide that fairly soon because it does impact families for the fall.
Would that be something we'd have to add to the agenda ahead of time because it's going to be part of the full discussion?
Yes, yeah, so, because it'll be a special meeting, we'll have to add it in.
Okay.
So I'll add that and like discussion possible action on the budget. And that's assuming that the referendum passes, which we're going forward with thinking, which will be, so then we'll have the special meeting, we can add that and then discussion possible action on the budget.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, for families to have that time to plan through the summer for, you know, what they're gonna have as far as their budgeted expenses for the next school year themselves, getting that information to them before, you know, the summer really kicks off. I think it's important to get that information out to parents if we're gonna be increasing those fees.
And confirming, Dr. Baird, so adding, if it's $500 per year, that makes preschool self-sustaining.
Yes.
And I understand like this special education piece of that, but.
Yeah, nobody could say that the taxpayers are subsidizing preschool.
Because it would be.
We can't raise it more than that.
It'd be funding itself, essentially. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion?
I didn't really mention this before, but you know, on item number 10 where it says that there's a $19,000 balance if you eliminate STEAM, and I said you could allocate that to something else. The other thing you could choose to do with that would be to say that you're not going to utilize as much for the non-lapsing account. So on item number 4 where we say you're going to need to utilize $122,000, you could bump that down. That's another option. You could allocate that $19,000 to special ed tuition.
Okay, so so question?
Yeah.
For you or Michelle. So if we have the 4th grade teacher back in the extra section, not extra, you know, what's needed, I don't like to say extra, the needed section back into 4th grade, and we have HES STEAM class as well, separate.
So if you have the HES STEAM class.
What will that leave us to allocate, or will we have to use non-lapsing dollars to do the HES STEAM class separately?
You would have to use more money from the non-lapsing account to do that.
Do you know approximately how much?
It would leave you with between a $30,000 and $35,000 balance in the non-lapsing account.
If we put STEAM back in?
Right now you have 228,000. We are already proposing that you use 123,000.
Okay.
So basically, when you get to number 10, I think the board is gonna have to ask, it's gonna need to decide, do you wanna prioritize keeping HES STEAM or not? I think that would probably be like one of the first questions you would ask yourselves. Because if you're not going to keep it, then you have $19,000 to do something with. It needs to go somewhere. So whether that's to, adding in half of speech, so a quarter speech position, whether you say that you're going to use that to cover preschool tuition because you're not going to increase preschool tuition, or you're going to put the money back into the non-lapsing account by spending less out of the non-lapsing account for the special ed tuition, or supplies or tutoring, but you'll have $19,000 to do something with. If you keep the HES STEAM class, then you need to use an additional $67,000 from non-lapsing to do that. Or identify something else that you would eliminate instead.
Okay.
So I think that's
Thank you
probably
for
where you would
clarifying.
start first
Yeah.
is, how do you feel about the preschool tuition? How do you feel about the STEAM class? Because how you answer either of those questions, it might be all done. But you also might have other decisions to make depending on the answers to those two questions.
Great. Okay, I just wanted to.
How much is our preschool tuition currently?
$6,750 for families who pay full.
Right, okay.
For the year?
Yeah,
For the year?
For the year, for the 10-month program.
Okay.
And so if you increased it 500, it'd be at $7,250.
Do we know how that compares to other programs?
We know that it'll be on the high end. Andover charges $6,000. They also have a wait list. So we know that it'll be higher than a lot of other people charge.
School districts, obviously not private.
Correct, yeah. But we last looked at it 2 years ago. By doing this second bump, I think we were gonna be, then be at the same place as the most expensive school-based program that we had identified.
Do we know how much Marlboro charges?
They don't charge anything.
They self-fund themselves?
They also don't have, their preschool program is just for their special education program.
Oh, okay, so they don't have a full program?
No.
Not that we do, because we need one more class.
I know it's something that all
Just
three
want
of
to throw that
us,
out there.
all three elementary districts are looking to add additional, meet community demand for preschool. So I know all three communities are looking at their preschool programs and trying to see how can you, in a financially feasible way, offer more preschool. I know all three are looking at that.
Yes. Okay. Any other discussion? Thank you.
Just one more question. So on
Yeah.
the speech services, if we were to add some of that back, so the 30,000 you said in non-lapsing account, if we were to add the HES STEAM class back, there's still that 30,000 unknown that Board of Finance is holding, that's not
Correct.
deposited.
Correct.
Would that be enough there to cover speech services?
A halftime position, yes.
Yeah, okay.
You could start the year, so we could look at a couple different things. We could say, we're gonna start the year optimistic, and we're gonna start with a halftime position, but we're going to help the candidate understand that when the funds are depleted, they're depleted. And so maybe you're starting halftime, but it may only get us through April. Or we take a look at it and we say, all right, well, we have 30,000, so that's not 47, so instead of a 0.45, which is what the 47 represents, we can do a 0.35. And so we're gonna have, less days per week or less hours per day. We take the money that we have. The other thing is we don't know about IDEA. So if we have 30,000 and we need another 17, well, by the time September rolls around, we'll have finished our hiring, and and we may know, oh, we can cover that 17 now, or IDA has come in higher than we anticipated, and we want to use some of the IDA money for that. So there's still some unknown, as we're going into the summer. So similar to, we didn't start the Spanish position here right away because we were worried about what the year was going to look like. I wouldn't bring on somebody for speech right now with no funding devoted to the part-time, but if you were to devote 30,000, we would start with something, and then we could decide to, by the time September 1st rolls around, oh, we have more, so we can bump it up a little bit, or this is all we have. And you may want to reach out to the Board of Finance to get a better understanding on whether or not they're going to deposit that money.
Yes, I will email them, email the chair and ask when they anticipate voting on that. How long has it been?
We
Year?
submitted it
What do we
at
do?
their request last summer, which was earlier than usual. They asked, the auditor recommended that they deposit it before the audit. I think that we were all kind of surprised by that, both us and the town. And so they asked us to put forward the request, and we did. The feedback that they then felt like, well, what if the audit comes back and says that this isn't how much money you had at the end of the year? I think that's a fair question to ask, So they held on to that request. I know that there were meetings where they also discussed whether or not their intention was that any money that we had left at the end of the year, we would just expect to have deposited into the account. It doesn't sound like from their discussion, this was at a meeting in September or October, that was their intention of setting up the non-lapsing account. It was more for, we had a year where we had a lot of savings in health insurance, for example. We had 200,000 left, and that was such a large figure that they would put in maybe not the whole figure, but a large portion of it without as much concern that the audit would come back with, oh, this wasn't the exact amount that you finished the year with. And they had said at that time that they may want to come back and have a conversation with the board about procedurally how they'd like to move forward with requests for the non-lapsing account deposit. We had ended the year with that 33,000 balance, really because we didn't move forward with the clock project, and we asked for the deposit so that we could have the funds in the non-lapsing account to move forward with the clock project at a later date, after the facility study, after we determined whether or not a bigger renovation was more warranted or not. So I think the Board of Education felt that they were being responsible to be responsive to the facility study and decide about the clocks later. And that's what we put in the letter when we asked for the money to be deposited. But a lot of time has gone by since that initial deposit request went in. And I think they were waiting for the audit to be completed. We know the audit is complete. So it would be, I think, a great time to go back and ask them to act on that request.
All right, I will follow up with them and ask when they'll be voting to move that money into our account. Hopefully they will.
And this was the audit that we had no findings on?
Correct.
Okay, just checking.
Good job again. No findings for the Board of Ed. Thank you to Ms. Schlatter. Okay, any other discussion? All right. So we'll move on. I would, before we move on, I'm sorry. I would like, to Joe's point, maybe we could look at next week, the referendum passes. Look at how maybe we could fit the fourth grade STEAM and some of the reading intervention and how best to do that. So that would be my question, I guess. I know you just spoke to it, but, whether or not that's reducing the FT a little bit or.
For the speech position?
That's just my personal, because I know you have to prepare and if, you have your Excel list up there, which we love and that kind of thing, so.
I think Ms. Schlatter can figure out some kind of magic formula in Excel. So you can say, well, we had 30,000, how much of an FTE is that, et cetera.
Right. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is approval of minutes. So I just asked for a motion to approve the special / regular meeting minutes of May 11th, 2023, and the special meeting minutes of June 1st, 2023. Anyone? Nikki, would you like to move this motion?
Sure, I would love to make that motion.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Nikki makes the motion, Keith seconds. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's Sarah.
Oh, opposed?
Yeah, found the wire.
Okay.
Nice.
Abstentions, motion passes. So, quick pause. So now Nikki and Sarah can both go electronic and hear us, and we can hear them.
Yes.
So Nikki, do you want to try going back on?
Onto the Zoom meeting? Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Okay. All right, if you can't, just call me back. But Dave has done his miracle work. So we should be able to hear you, and you should be able to hear us.
Okay.
All right, thanks, bye.
Yep.
Wait a minute. You found the wire.
Found the wire.
I'm just waiting 1 minute till they get on. So Sarah's on.
Sarah's on.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Just let you know when Nikki's on and off. All right. All right. Nikki, you can hear us, right? And we can hear you.
Good morning.
All right. All right, awesome. Okay, so the chair's report, I just want to once again thank all of the families and students and other community members that came out to our special meeting in Ice Cream Social last week. A reminder that the referendum is this coming Tuesday, June 13th, at HES, so please make time to go vote. We plan to have a special meeting on the Wednesday right after, on June 14th, at 4:30 p.m. To make decisions regarding the budget, if the referendum passes, which I'm hoping it will, personally. And then I think that is all I have. Oh, the retreat. So just for everyone's calendar, just to a reminder, I'm hoping these dates still work. I know we picked them in January, but let me know if they don't. So we initially said that we were going to try to do retreat the nights of July 27th and 28th. Does that still look good for everyone?
I'm sorry, it's actually the 26th and 27th.
26th and, oh, sorry.
That's what I got.
26th. Did you tell me the 27th?
I did. That's my mistake.
All right.
That's just in the evening?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yep, so it'd be like the evening, from, usually it's like 6 to 8 or 9. So like some of the items that we'd be doing there would be going over our district advancement plan and making any updates for the upcoming school year, superintendent's evaluation, some of our non-union contracts, Mrs. Shalar and Superintendent Dr. Baird. So those are some of the items that would be at the retreat. Okay.
Doesn't work for me.
Okay.
I would say please respond to the calendar invite, and then we'll see if we have quorum and
Either one,
make
No,
adjustments
no.
if we need to.
What was the other option?
26, 27,
What was the other option?
the other one.
No, you just said. Is there
I
any
did.
other option?
No, those are the original dates that we had, the 26th and 27th.
Are you away that week?
We do have an August board meeting as well.
You're away?
No, the week before is good. The week after is a little rough. Gotta be in North Carolina.
I'm just gonna say the week after is rough as well.
Okay. Yes.
The week before?
Yeah, so we can look at Nikki and Sarah. I don't know, how are you on the week before, and Dr. Baird?
I will be away.
Oh, okay.
The week before that?
That'll be a rough one. Unless we do it at 6.
Well, the week of the 14th of August?
We have a August meeting on the 17th.
If the meeting's at 6:30, we could do 12 and 13,
Of July.
July.
Does that work for you?
That's good.
But it cannot be any earlier than that.
Nikki and Sarah, does July 12th and 13th work for you in the evening? Like 6:30 to 8:30 or 9?
That works for me. That and the 26th and the 27th also work for me.
The 26th and the 27th definitely work for me. I don't know that I have my full summer calendar right here in front of me.
Okay. All right, so what I'll do is I'll send out an or invite or email, and just let me know what works for everyone, and then hopefully we have a majority on either the 12th and 13th or the 26th and 27th.
I could do 12 and 13.
Okay, and Nikki, you said you could too, right?
Yeah, so just have to check in with Alex and Ally.
Yep.
And if we had, I do think that we could do it all in one night if we had to.
Okay. So, okay, I will reach out to them. So just potentially hold the 12th and 13th then, please, for the dates of the retreat.
I know Ally.
In the evening, that'd be great.
I know Ally has a hard time with Wednesdays.
Okay. I'll ask.
There's an August 4th also. I don't have that one on my.
August 17th.
Just the 17th. Okay. Right,
Yep.
good. That one.
All right. Thank you. I think that's all I have in regard to a chair's report for now.
Did we, just a question on next week. I thought we initially said 4 p.m. Is it 4 or 4:30?
I had 4:30, but.
That'd be a good place to look.
I think staff's perspective would be the earlier the better.
We have negotiations after it.
Yeah.
Sarah, can you do 4? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought we were meeting at 4 for.
Oh, you
just
were.
It does say 4:30, but for some
all
reason,
of
I
us,
thought we said 4.
and then the whole group at 4:30, and then negotiations after the board meeting.
Keith, can you do 4 on a Wednesday?
Does it make a difference at that point? Does it make a difference at that point?
Nikki, can you do 4?
Yeah, I'm leaving early either way, so they're either mad or they're madder, like, nobody cares.
I know, work is
Yeah, I
hard.
can do basically any time on those days. It's fine.
All right, let's change it to 4.
Okay. I'm gonna revise calendar invite right now.
That'll make it a lot easier as far as negotiations too for everyone. Okay. It was a very productive chair report.
Like that.
Dr. Baird, superintendent report.
All right, I will do my best to be brief, but I do have more this month. I will be sending out a school messenger tomorrow, just to let our school community know of the updated proposed reductions and reminder about voting next week, and there'll be a couple more reminders next week. But I will share in my message that there was consensus from the board to restore the 4th grade position, because it seemed that was very clear from the group. And also be clear that you can't vote until after the budget. All right, so a couple of updates to go along with my written report. So bullet number 2, the right to read legislation and the waiver process. So I don't think the governor has signed it yet, but there's the bill that was to update the legislation around this to essentially delay implementation for 2 years was passed. So it awaits the governor's signature is my guess where that is now sitting. I don't think that was very controversial. It gives districts a couple of years to be able to partially implement if your waiver is not approved, so it gives us some time to respond. As part of the waiver process, we've been told that there will be a required meeting with every district that has submitted a waiver, which is more than 80 districts. I think it's in the 90s. So that'll be interesting to see how they're going to fit all that in. And their last update, they kind of slipped in there that they hope to be done by August, which is different than June that they've been saying up until that last email that came in. So I think it's going to be very difficult with summer schedules to coordinate these meetings. I just know that I think that Mrs. Uriano and I have like one day in common that we're both here between the middle of June and August. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to proceed with this. Other items of interest, I emailed this, but just to remind you that we updated the use of school facilities policy to the shipment model policy and streamlined the administrative regulations and forms that were associated with that. There were some conflicts between the policy and administrative regulations and the old version, so we just fixed all that. And it was a very clunky form, and Mrs. Shalar and Mrs. Clavette did a lot of great work on fixing that form. I also wanted to bring to your attention that we have secured a new district medical advisor, Dr. Chris Bentley, for next year. Dr. Bentley replaces Dr. Strime, who is retiring. It's been very difficult for districts to secure medical advisors right now, often at a much higher expense than previously. But we partnered with Andover, Marlboro, and RAM to negotiate a regional collaborative contract for our medical advisor. So it actually is reducing our cost. So excited about that. Don't get too excited, it's not a lot of money. But any amount of savings is great. The Professional Development and Evaluation Committee approved the continued use of the state flexibilities for educator evaluation. You've heard me speak about this before, but we do need the board to approve both the Professional Development and Evaluation Committee have to approve any changes to educator eval, and the board does as well. We've done this the last 3 years during the pandemic. There have been different flexibilities. This will basically allow for the exact same system that is operating this year to operate again next year. And then you're going to see significant changes to educator eval for the 24-25 school year. So that'll be something we'll be bringing to you for a vote at some point next school year. That was also approved by the House and Senate. I don't know if the governor has signed that either. I think it's in the same bill actually as the reading one. Something else not in my report, but is also interesting for you to know. Kindergarten entrance age will be changing in that same, in one of those education bills too. It'll be changing from January 1st to September 1st. I think most of us welcome that change. There is one allowance that I'm sure Mrs. Urano is not very excited about that allows for the principal, not me, the principal, to make an exception to that. So I'm sure she's thrilled to have that power and responsibility. But that does not, that will not be in effect until next school year. So it doesn't impact anybody coming to kindergarten for this upcoming year. But we could see a reduction in our kindergarten numbers in 24-25 because of that change. So it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts preschool and kindergarten.
Right.
Doesn't that also like line us up with most of the states in the US?
It does, yeah. Connecticut, I think, has the earliest entrance age currently. I have a bias. Both of my kids did 2 years of kindergarten. I almost hate to admit that because people poo-poo that, but for very different reasons, both of my kids did 2 years of kindergarten, and they would have been then more in the age bracket that this law would now require.
So you're saying September 1st, they have to be 5 by September 1st?
Yes. I think it's September 1st.
Unless Mrs. Ariana decides otherwise.
It may be the first day of school or September 1st. It's something like that.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So you do have action pending for you to take on the educator flexibilities, but just also really quickly, next year I'm going to serve as the vice chair for our CAPS regional group, so I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Oh, nice.
We talked about the board retreat, and the dates may be changing. Our administrative retreat is going to take place on August 8th and 9th. Jessica Ritter will be here with us for that. Just for the public's knowledge around budget implications for our retreats are pretty uneventful, do not include a suitcase, held right here in district at a very low, no cost. New staff orientation will take place on August 22nd and 23rd, and then convocation will be taking place on August 28th. That is a shift for us because we have added a day of professional development for our paraeducator group. So all staff are now starting on the Monday, and so our convocation is going to shift to that Monday and now not be on the same day as meet and greets. So it's going to be a much, it's going to allow for a lot more flexibility for our first 2 days back for staff in terms of scheduling for required trainings, convocation, meet and greets. It's going to be a big improvement. That concludes my report, and if you'd be so kind to now take action on the educator flexibilities, I would be happy to let PDAC know that you approve that.
I will, but I had a quick question, because I heard that the budget passed, or budget implementer bill, so I'd say, because they put a lot of bills in one, and that ECS, the districts are all going to be held harmless for 2 years? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes. Our ECS funding that we receive, Ms. Shalar, goes to the town or to us?
Our ECS funding goes to the town.
Okay, thank you. All right. So in regard to the educator evaluation flexibilities, we've done this last couple of years now, for 2023-24. I've just asked for a motion to approve the educator evaluation flexibilities for the 2023-2024 school year.
So moved.
Joe moves, do I have a second?
Second.
Sarah seconds. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, Mrs. Shalar, Business Manager's Report.
Okay. So a couple of the items in my report that I want to highlight this month are all related to our food services department. So we've got some, unprecedented funding from our free meals this year. So that's where the action's taking place right now. Our technology director and our food service manager have been working together for the past several months to get our new point of sale system up and running. So we'll have some more efficiencies in the food service department and make sure all of our equipment is working to collect all of that data. And like I mentioned last time, it'll be a new platform for families who are adding funding to their meal accounts and families who are opting to pay for preschool tuition online. So as soon as we have some more information about that, we'll send it out to families so they can get things set up throughout the summer months. We have our last large purchase of the year for our food service program is an air conditioning for our kitchen here at Gilead Hill School. So Hebron has an air conditioner and Gilead does not. So our facilities director and our food service manager have been working together on that. So that was an approval with the state back in October to move this forward. So we'll finalize that in June. And we just signed a renewal, a 3-year contract with our current food service director. Because of the amount of that contract, I did do some outreach and trying to find comparable we have a very unique setup that we're self-operating, but we subcontract just the services of a part-time food service director / advisor. So it's really unique across the state, and I got very little response. The one response I got, once I was able to finally get a quote on this work, it was double what we're paying now. So this was the best option. I couldn't say that I got 3 quotes because I only got one response, but I got a quote from EastCon and a quote from another provider, and so we ended up going with EastCon under the waiver of this just being like the only game in town to be able to offer this kind of service. So we're continuing on and have had some meetings about roles and expectations for the upcoming year, so we're excited to kind of move forward under that new contract with some clarified language, and I think that'll be productive for everybody involved in that. Under my grants section of my report, I have some possible action for you tonight. We are about ready to submit our primary mental health program application for the upcoming year. This is $20,000. This would be our 3rd year submitting this grant, and this $20,000 affords us 1 additional day of social work services here at Gilead Hill School. So we currently pay for 2 days, and this would be the 3rd day, and that day is focused around some play-based therapy for students. So this grant does require board approval, so I would just ask you to take a vote on that tonight, and if approved, then we'll submit tomorrow and hope for a successful application so we can continue that partnership.
You probably remember taking a vote 2 years ago on this. Last year, they didn't have to take a vote because they did it as a continuing grant.
Correct.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the primary mental health grant application?
So moved.
All right, Joe Margulies moves to the second.
Second.
Keith seconds. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, passes unanimously.
Great.
Thank you for all your work, and Don and all the administrators as well. Like, we have a very healthy grant revenue.
Yeah.
And I'm very appreciative of that, so thank you.
Thank you. And then the final section of my report tonight is about your year-to-date expenditure report. At this point in the year, without our second allotment of excess cost funding, we're projected to go into the negative. We have gotten word from the state that deposits were sent out very end of May, and the amount is listed here in my report. It's $55,226. So I've already reached out to Elaine Griffin at the town and have requested some confirmation that that money will be deposited. I got a pretty positive response that she's just looking for my special ed department report that I'll send to her tomorrow. And just as backup, that we do in fact have a deficit in that line, and the money is required to, to fund these unbudgeted expenses. So I'll send that off tomorrow to move that process forward. And I know they have a Board of Finance meeting, I believe, next week, so they can officially make some motion on that. And then my final piece is another transfer request, so I'm going to ask that you take some action on this tonight. This is really getting us to a place where we are balancing out any negative projections through the end of the year, accounting for this $55,000 in excess cost funding, and then using any remaining funding to just look at any sort of strategic pre-purchasing of instructional supplies. I know you saw in Dr. Baird's report earlier tonight that there would be some reductions in instructional supplies, so we could recoup some of that with some of these transfers if you approve them tonight.
Thank you. I definitely need to do that. So we can ask for a motion if there's discussion after we can. So can I have a motion to approve the line item transfers as presented?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, Joe Martinez moves, Keith Pettit seconds. Is there any discussion on the line item transfers? All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion passes.
Mrs. Shalar, could you update the board about the movement around the playscape? I know there was a meeting at the town.
Oh, yes. So our facilities director, Chris Harding, and I met with Andy Tierney earlier this week to just go over, number one, it was originally about I hate to even say it, the Siemens contract. So we discussed one arm of the Siemens contract, and just it's a preventative maintenance contract, which we have decided at this point we can sunset the majority of that contract. So I think you'll be pleased to, I see some nods, pleased to hear that part. So we discussed that, and then discussed our some of the other projects that we've got going on. So our at the moment, our playscape that we're looking to fund through the town's ARPA dollars is starting to move forward. So the finance director has asked me to move forward with our selected playscape because the organization that that we chose is on the state bid list. So that's how they were able to move their other playscape that they recently installed through the Parks and Rec Department forward. So we're going to use the same sort of mechanisms to move forward with this one. So I've got the quote, and I just need to probably tomorrow also connect with Elaine again and move forward towards next steps.
Will it be installed before next school year?
Probably not. I can't imagine that would happen, but we'll see. One step at a time.
It is nice with where the final location where it's going to go. It would not be disruptive to school operations for them to install it. So it probably would just depend on how fast the contract can get signed. The town manager signs his contract because it's town funding, and then their schedule of delivery. But it's nice to see it moving along.
That's great news.
And the other thing we did discuss was the facility study. So Richard Steiner earlier this week sent to me some data that they're collecting to start moving that forward. So in the summer months, I think they're looking to execute that facility study, and no movement on the gym floor at the moment. But we're waiting for the building committee to enlist the services of an architect to analyze the gym floor and decide next steps.
To repair it, not replace, correct?
That seems like that's the inevitable
I think
final
that's what
step.
they voted on to do, I believe, the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they just want to make sure that before they put a couple of $1,000s into it, it's the right direction to go. So
yeah.
So that's where we're headed.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, committee updates. So policy committee, last month, 7 months ago, I feel like we met a lot. We had two on here. The first one is the student dress. A big part of this, Dr. Baird, of course, would be, we're not going to say that our students in pre-K to 6 cannot wear tank tops or sleeveless shirts, as we currently have no air conditioning in our schools. I personally think that's a good way to go. But that's a lot of what this policy is, and also saying, you know, that, why are we, I mean, we're taking out that they can wear outerwear inside.
Yeah, so sometimes in the winter, some of our rooms are colder and kids would like to wear, you know, a fleece
sweatshirt,
or you know,
yeah.
something like that. And so we're taking out the language that says you can't wear outerwear. We're saying kids can have sunglasses and hats on, as they're going to and from the outdoors. And then we also included, as we were looking to sunset the COVID series policies, we wanted to include some provision in here around
Right.
that if like masks are required or something like that. We didn't want there to be anything in conflict with this policy as we were sunsetting the COVID series policies.
Right, we wanted to allow students to wear one if they so choose, or
Yep.
if.
Correct, yeah.
we're-
Because previously masks were not allowed.
Right.
And so we had to strike that.
Right. Does anyone have any questions on that one? No. All right, we can do it. I'll do a motion for both in a minute, but I just wanted to get. The next one is just an update to removal of board officers. Not that I don't want anyone to be removed. But it's just an update from shipping, really, is what it is. So, procedures of how to, like, that we follow Robert's rules, that we do, if that ever came to be, that we do a performance, you know, review the performance and conduct of the officer in question. And so, this is just a legal update, but it is a big update to what we had in place before.
I think this is one of those ones that falls into the category of that I can do legal updates for you under our under your bylaw for policies, but I can't do a legal update on bylaws. Only the board can take action on bylaws. There's nothing really substance, really. This is really just an updated format, updated legal statute. Where there's discretion for the board was whether or not it's a majority of the entire board or just those present. And the board previously had a majority of the entire board and kept that. So there's not really anything of substance here.
Right, we just felt if we were gonna remove someone, the entire board should be present and not just those available that evening. You know, and I think that's a good practice for just going forward, even with other boards, you know, in the future. Yeah. All right, so can I have a motion to approve policy 5016, student dress, and bylaw 9018, removal of board officers as presented?
So moved.
All right,
Seconded.
Joe, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, opposed, abstentions? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Resource Management Committee.
We did not.
Student Growth and District Advancement Committee, we have not met.
No,
yet.
we chose to move the things to the retreat.
Communications and Community Engagement Committee. We didn't really meet. We discussed our recent communication at our special meeting, so we didn't meet on the side. We did Negotiations Committee. We have not, our first meeting with the Administrators Union will be next Wednesday after our special meeting of the board. PTA liaison.
I did not attend the meeting. I think they actually did have one, I might have missed it. I apologize.
That's okay. School readiness, I'll do the same, because I had a conflict at that time, so Dr. Breyer, if you don't mind.
Final meeting just occurred on May 30th. It was a quick meeting. All grant funding has been spent down as expected. Marilyn Pakuch, our longtime liaison, is retiring, so we said farewell to Marilyn. In preparation for the upcoming partnership with EastCon, Mrs. Uriano and I just met actually with our new liaison, I'm planning to meet with Andover this summer, because we're gonna be partnering our councils across the community, so we talked about that. And all family tuition is in as well. We talked about that, which is a celebration for us.
Great, thank you so much. And Wellness Committee, I don't know, Nikki, did they meet?
Didn't meet.
No, didn't meet. All right, old business, we didn't have any on the agenda for this time. Does anyone want any new business on next month's agenda? Actually,
It would be
August's agenda, because July's our retreat, I apologize. No? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn then at 8:30 PM?
So moved.
Second, is there a second?
Seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
I'm impressed.
thank
8:30, that's long.